Marcus Chen adjusted his tie for the third time, staring at his reflection in the elevator's polished steel doors. The Meridian Hotel's penthouse restaurant. Neutral ground for what his father called the most important dinner of your life. He'd rather be anywhere else. The elevator chimed softly as it reached the 42nd floor. Marcus stepped out, his Italian leather shoes silent on the marble floor. The Mater D guided him toward a private dining room where two families would unite their business empires through an arranged marriage that felt more like a corporate merger. "Mr. Chen," Mater D announced, opening the door to reveal. "An intimate dining room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Your party is waiting." Marcus entered, his practiced smile already in place. His father, David Chen, rose from the table alongside another older man, presumably Vincent Romano, head of Romano Industries. But it was the woman seated with her, back to him, that made Marcus's blood run cold. She turned, and emerald eyes met his across the room. Eyes he'd seen through the scope of a rifle just 6 months ago. Eyes that belonged to the woman who'd nearly killed him in Prague. Marcus, his father, beamed, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air. "Meet Isabella Romano, your fiancée." Isabella rose gracefully, extending her hand with a smile that didn't reach those dangerous eyes. "A pleasure to finally meet you, Marcus." Her voice was silk over steel, the same voice that had whispered threats in his ear. During their fight in that abandoned warehouse, Marcus took her hand, noting the slight callus on her trigger finger, the way her grip tested his strength. "That pleasure is mine," he replied. His own smile equally false. They'd been trying to kill each other for 2 years. And now, their families wanted them married. The dinner progressed with excruciating politeness. Marcus learned that Isabella was supposedly a consultant for international businesses, a cover story as thin as his own identity as a security advisor. Their fathers discussed merger details while he and Isabella engaged in verbal sparring, disguised as getting-to-know-you conversation. "What kind of consulting do you do?" Marcus asked, cutting his steak with deliberate precision. "I help companies." "So v.e. problems," Isabella replied, her smile sharp as a blade, "especially when those problems involve unwanted interference in their operations." "How interesting." "I also deal with interference, sometimes permanently." Their fathers chuckled. Thinking they were discussing business philosophy, they had no idea their children were international operatives, working for competing intelligence agencies. "Perhaps we should give the young couple some privacy," Vincent suggested. "Isabella, why don't you show Marcus the hotel's garden terrace?" Isabella's eyes glittered with dangerous amusement. "I'd love to." The terrace was deserted, city lights twinkling below. The moment they were alone, Isabella's facade dropped. "Phoenix," she said, using his code name. "I should have known Nightingale." "Right." Marcus kept his hands visible, though every instinct screamed danger. "Funny how small the world is. Are you armed? Are you?" They circled each other like predators, maintaining the pretense of an engaged couple taking a romantic stroll. Isabella's dress was elegant, but practically easy to move in, concealing weapons. "Your father seems lovely," Isabella said conversationally. "It would be a shame if something happened to him. Touch my family, and you'll discover exactly how many ways I can kill someone with a butter knife. Promises, promises." She laughed, but her eyes remained calculating. "What's your play here? You're going to tell our fathers that they're—" "Business merger is actually a marriage between enemy agents." Marcus considered it. His father's company, Chen Dynamics, manufactured sophisticated security systems that his CIA handlers found useful. Isabella's family controlled shipping routes that he'd never been sure which agency she worked for. But her accent suggested European training. "Are you?" he countered. "And ruined 2 old men's dreams of grandchildren." Isabella's smile turned predatory. "I have a better idea. We play along," Isabella continued, moving closer. To anyone watching, they looked like lovers sharing intimate conversation. "Think about it, we're both deep cover operatives." "What? Better cover than a married couple?" "You're insane, am I? We both need long-term identities. Marriage provides perfect cover for travel, shared resources, coordinated operations, and ... At. She paused, studying his face. It puts us in position to watch each other. Marcus hated that she was making sense. His handler had been pressing him to develop a more stable identity, something that wouldn't attract attention. And keeping Isabella close meant knowing what she was planning. What's to stop me from killing you in your sleep? The same thing that stops me from poisoning your morning coffee, mutually assured destruction. We both have insurance policies, information that gets released if we die. Besides, she stepped closer, her perfume mixing with the evening air. Where's the fun in that? Before he could respond, she pressed something into his hand, a small device that looked like a hotel key card. My real contact information, she whispered. Think about it, Phoenix. Could be the most dangerous power couple in the world. 3 days later, Marcus found himself in a coffee shop downtown, staring at Isabella across a small table. She'd traded her elegant dress for jeans and a leather jacket, but she was no less dangerous in casual wear. I've been thinking about your proposal, he said. And what's your real name? She raised an eyebrow. What's yours? Marcus Chen is my real name. My father really does own Chen Dynamics. I use the family business as cover, but everything else about my life is genuine. Isabella studied him for a long moment. Isabella Romano. Vincent is my uncle, not my father. My parents died when I was 12. He raised me, never knowing I was recruited by Italian intelligence at 16. Italian intelligence? I assumed you were Russian. I cultivate the accent. It's useful for misdirection. She leaned forward. Tsk. What do you say, partners? Marcus thought about the missions he'd been running solo, the close calls, the isolation. Having a partner, even a former enemy, might be an improvement. Temporary partnership, he said finally. You go through with the marriage, maintain cover. But we're not actually a team. We're just not trying to kill each other. Yet Isabella added with a smile that made his chest tighten in a way he didn't like. The next 2 months were a whirlwind of wedding planning that felt like an extended undercover operation. Marcus discovered that Isabella was more than just a skilled operative. She was brilliant, funny, and had a sarcastic wit that matched his own. They met regularly to coordinate their stories, and Marcus found himself looking forward to their meetings. Isabella had a way of making even the most mundane wedding details feel like an adventure. Flowers or no flowers? She asked during one of their planning sessions. Do they serve any tactical purpose? Well, the stems could be used as improvised. Weapons and flower petals are excellent for creating slippery surfaces. Flowers. It is. But beneath the surface, they were both still working. Marcus tracked Isabella's movements, noting when she disappeared for days at a time. She was equally vigilant, commenting on his business trips with knowing looks. The pretense began to blur when Marcus found himself genuinely enjoying her company. Isabella was the first person he'd met who truly understood his life, the constant vigilance, the loneliness, the weight of secrets. You know, she said one evening as they walked through the park after another wedding meeting, this might actually work. The mission, the marriage. She stopped walking, turning to face him. I mean it, Marcus. We understand each other in ways normal people never could. We've both seen the worst of the world, but we're still here, still fighting. Marcus felt something shift between them, something dangerous and entirely unplanned. Isabella, I know. I feel it too. She stepped closer, and for a moment, he forgot she was trained to kill. What if we made this real? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Emergency signal. He glanced at the message, and his blood ran cold. What is it? Isabella asked, reading his expression. My handler. There's been a development. Someone's been feeding information to the Russians, and they think it's me. Isabella's face went pale. Marcus, I need to tell you something. I've been getting similar messages. My handlers think I'm the leak. They stared at each other as the pieces clicked into place. We're being set up, Marcus said. But by who? The answer came at their wedding rehearsal. Marcus and Isabella had decided to move forward with the ceremony while they investigated who was framing them. Surrounded by family and friends, they went through the motions of a happy couple, but both were on high alert. During the dinner, Marcus noticed their family's business associates, men he'd never seen before, but who carried themselves with the telltale signs of professional killers. Isabella caught his eye and nodded toward the exit. They needed to talk. In the hotel's service corridor, they found themselves face to face with the truth. Your uncle, Marcus said quietly. Vincent Romano. He's not just a businessman. Oh, Isabella whispered. He's the broker. No one who's been selling information to the highest bidder. He's been using our family's shipping routes to move more than cargo. My father's security systems. He's been selling access codes to hostile governments. That's why they wanted us married. Two intelligence operatives under one roof, perfect for gathering information. Isabella's face hardened. They played us from the beginning. The arranged marriage, the business merger, it's all a setup to create the perfect spy network, or to eliminate two agents who might discover their operation. The lights went out. In the darkness, Marcus and Isabella moved as one. Years of training kicked in as they pressed back to back, listening for threats. The service corridor became a battleground as armed men appeared from both ends. How many? Isabella whispered. 6. You. Same, they're trying to box us in. Marcus found Isabella's hand in the darkness. Squeezing one's a signal he'd never used before, but somehow knew. She'd understand. Trust me, she squeezed back. Always. They moved through the corridor like dancers, each covering the other's blind spots. Isabella's dress tore as she kicked one attacker, while Marcus used his belt as an improvised weapon. Out. They were outnumbered. But they had something the assassins didn't: perfect coordination. Service elevator, Isabella gasped, taking down another attacker with a move that definitely wasn't in any wedding planning guide. They made it to the elevator, just as more armed men appeared. The doors closed with seconds to spare. Garage, Marcus said, hitting the button. We need to get to the families. No, Isabella said, her voice deadly calm. We need to end this. The wedding ceremony was scheduled for the next morning, but Marcus and Isabella had other plans. They spent the night gathering evidence, tracking down the proof they needed to expose their family's betrayal. You realize, Isabella said as they prepared for the confrontation. If we do this, we'll both be burned. Our cover's blown. Our agencies will disavow us. I know. Marcus checked his weapon one final time. Are you ready for that? As long as I'm not facing it alone. They entered the church, dressed for their wedding, but ready for war. The ceremony was already underway. Families gathered in the pews, Vincent Romano and David Chen standing proudly. At the altar, dearly beloved, the priest began, we are gathered here today, ... To expose a traitorous conspiracy, Marcus interrupted. Walking down the aisle with Isabella at his side, gasps echoed through the church as they presented their evidence: financial records, communication intercepts, proof that both Vincent and David had been selling state secrets for years. You used us, Isabella said, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. You arranged this marriage to create the perfect cover for your operations. When we got too close to the truth, you tried to have us killed, Marcus added. Vincent Romano smiled coldly. Did you really think we didn't know what you were? We've been watching you both for months. This wedding was never about love. It was about control. Armed men stepped out from behind the pews. The families, their real families, had been replaced with mercenaries. The only question, David Chen said, his voice nothing like the loving Father Marcus remembered, is whether you die quickly or slowly. The church erupted in chaos. Marcus and Isabella fought side by side, using the pews and altar as cover. Stained glass windows shattered as bullets flew, and the wedding dress that Isabella had insisted on wearing proved to be more than decorative. It concealed body armor and weapons. Behind you, Marcus shouted, spinning to take down a gunman who'd flanked them. Isabella's response was a perfect headshot that dropped another attacker. I've got the left side. They moved through the church like a perfect team, each anticipating the other's moves. Marcus realized that somewhere between planning their fake wedding and fighting for their lives, they'd become something he'd never expected: partners in every sense of the word. The real families, Isabella called out between gunshots. Where are they? Basement? Vincent Romano shouted before Marcus's shot took him down. They're already dead, rage filled Marcus's chest. These weren't just covers they were protecting. These were the people who'd raised them, loved them, believed in them. Go, Isabella said, reading his expression. I'll hold them here. Not a chance. We do this together. They fought their way to the basement, where they found their real families tied up but alive. David Chunda, real one, not the imposter, looked up with tears in his eyes. Marcus, what's happening? Long story, Dad. Let's get you out of here. 6 months later, Marcus and Isabella stood on a beach in Thailand watching the sunset paint. The sky in shades of orange and pink. They'd successfully exposed the conspiracy, testified against the surviving members of the criminal organization, and resigned from their respective agencies. So, Isabella said, her feet in the sand, what do we do now? Well, Marcus replied, pulling a small box from his pocket. We could start with this. Isabella's eyes widened as he dropped to one knee. Marcus, Chen, what are you doing? Something? I should have done months ago. Isabella Romano, will you marry me? For real this time? She laughed, tears streaming down her face. You realize we'll have to plan another wedding? I was hoping we could keep it simple this time. Maybe fewer armed. Assassins. Where's the fun in that? But she was already saying yes, already kissing him as the waves lapped at their feet. Later, as they walked hand in hand along the beach, Isabella asked, Do you think we'll miss it? The spy life. Marcus considered it. Maybe, but I think I'll like being on the same side as you even more. Good, she said, stopping to face him. Because I have a proposition.
Another one?
Private security? Consulting? We could help people who find themselves in situations like ours, caught between agencies, betrayed by the people they trusted. Marcus smiled. Partners! Partners! She agreed. In everything, as they walked back. Toward their hotel, Marcus realized that sometimes the best missions were the ones you never saw coming. He'd started this journey as a reluctant groom in an arranged marriage, but he was ending it as a man who'd found his perfect match, someone who could watch his back in a firefight and plan a wedding with equal skill. The future stretched ahead of them, full of possibilities and adventures. And for the first time in his life, Marcus Chen wasn't facing it alone. He was facing it with his wife, his partner, and his former enemy, the woman who'd become his greatest ally and his truest love. Behind them, the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in colors that promised new beginnings and happily ever after. The helicopter touched down on the rooftop of the Chen Romano Security building in downtown Los Angeles. Marcus helped his client step out, scanning the area with practiced eyes while Isabella coordinated with their ground team through her earpiece. Package delivered safely, she reported, her voice professional but warm. Client is secure. Marcus smiled as he watched his wife work. 2 years of marriage, and running their security firm together had only made them more effective as a team. They'd built something remarkably, a company that specialized in protecting people caught between governments, corporations, and criminal organizations. Another satisfied customer, Marcus said as they walked toward the elevator. And another. Successful mission for the Chen Romano team, Isabella replied, pulling off her tactical vest. Though I still think we should have gone with Romano Chen for the company name. We flipped a coin. You used a weighted coin. Prove it, Isabella laughed, the sound echoing in the elevator. It still amazed Marcus how natural this felt. Banter, the partnership, the way they moved together like two parts of a perfect whole. The elevator opened to reveal their office floor, bustling with activity. Their team had grown to include 12 specialists. Former agents from various countries who'd found themselves burned or betrayed by their governments. They'd created a haven for people like themselves, and business was booming. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, their assistant David, called out, You have a visitor. Marcus and Isabella exchanged glances. Scheduled visitors were rarely good news in their line of work. Conference room 2, David continued. He says it's about a family matter. They found Vincent Romano, the real Vincent Romano, Isabella's uncle, waiting with 2 cups of coffee and a nervous expression. He testified against his imposter and spent the last 2 years rebuilding his legitimate shipping business. Uncle Vincent, Isabella said, embracing him. What brings you to Los Angeles? I have a proposition, he said, glancing between them. A job offer, actually. Marcus raised an eyebrow. We're not looking to go back to the spy business. Not spies, Vincent smiled. Consultants. The Italian government has approached me about a special project. They need a team that can operate outside official channels, people who understand both sides of the intelligence world. Isabella leaned forward. What kind of project? There's a network of former agents being hunted by their own governments. People like you were 2 years ago. They need protection, new identities, safe passage to countries where they can start over. Marcus felt Isabella's hand find his under. The table? He squeezed it gently.
Act.
We'd be running an underground railroad for burned spies, Isabella murmured. The pay is excellent, Vincent continued, and it's legitimate work. Government sanctioned, but deniable. You'd be saving lives. Marcus looked at his wife, seeing the spark of interest in her eyes. They'd built a good life together, but he could see she missed the larger-scale missions, the chance to make a real difference. What do you think? He asked her. I think, Isabella said slowly, that we didn't leave the spy world to abandon the people still trapped in it. Marcus nodded. When do we start? 6 months later, Marcus stood in a safe house in Prague watching Isabella debrief a former Russian operative who'd managed to escape his handlers. Their new organization, officially called Transition Security Solutions, had successfully relocated 37 burned agents to new lives in friendly countries. You know, Isabella said, joining him at the window, I think we're getting good at this saving people business. Better than the killing people business? Much better. She leaned against him, and Marcus wrapped his arms around her. Plus, the hours are better for married life. Speaking of which, Marcus said, turning her to face him, I have something to tell you. Isabella's eyes narrowed playfully. Please tell me it's not another secret identity. No secrets. Just ... double quotes. He took a deep breath. I've been thinking about what you said on the beach about the future, and I think we're ready for the next mission. Isabella's eyebrows rose. What kind of mission? Marcus smiled, his hand moving. To rest on her still flat stomach? It's the kind that takes 18 years to complete and involves very little sleep. Isabella's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Marcus, are you saying? I'm saying that Dr. Petrov confirmed it this morning. Congratulations, Mrs. Chen. We're going to be parents. Isabella's response was to kiss him so hard they both forgot they were supposed to be maintaining professional cover.
Ow.
When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. A baby, Isabella whispered. Our baby. Are you okay with this? I know it wasn't planned. ... Marcus Chen, Isabella said, her voice fierce with joy. I've been ready for this mission my whole life. I just needed the right partner. As they stood together in the Prague safe house, Marcus reflected on how far they'd come. From arranged enemies to married partners, to expectant parents each phase of their relationship had been an adventure, and now they were about to embark on their greatest adventure yet. Outside, snow began to fall over the city where they'd first tried to kill each other. But inside the safe house, Marcus and Isabella Chen were planning for a future filled with hope, love, and the promise of new life. Their most dangerous mission was about to begin, and they couldn't wait to get started. The E&D, what did you think of this thrilling journey? Share your favorite moment in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest tales. What kind of story would you like to hear next?